Hey guys, it's me, Carb. Thank you so much for tuning in to another video. It's been quite a while. It's been months, probably. I'm not even sure when I recorded and uploaded my last YouTube video. So much has happened, and here we are in this very trying time. I made several attempts to record this video, and every time I felt okay, like there was a day I can actually sit down and talk to the camera, I just couldn't. I couldn't because I had some struggles, and I've been struggling for a while. So as you can tell by the title, I am pregnant. I am halfway through my journey, and I'm hanging in there. It has not been easy. It has not been easy at all. And so I decided to take a break from social media initially, just to kind of get my thoughts together. And then that break turned into a necessity. Like, I actually had to take a break because of all the things that, were happening, all at the same time. I just became very overwhelmed. So, you know, my tone in this video will be very open and honest and frank. And hopefully you guys can appreciate that. You can already tell that I'm still struggling. So when I first became pregnant, so I'm halfway through, it was just the usual pregnancy symptoms. You know, I noticed that I was tired. I was eating a lot. There was a couple of weeks where I was just eating and eating and eating, and I'm like, man, you know, and I felt good because I thought, you know, I was gonna put on my, you know, bulk and go through that process and all that. So it was very exciting. But then I noticed that I started getting really sick, and the sickness just wouldn't go away. So I would wake up in the morning, and as soon as I woke up, I would have this really odd nausea. I would have to vomit whatever it is I had in my stomach at the time. And then that would go on for like 3-4 times within the first hour of waking up. If you look back to my announcement with Ebony's, when I was pregnant with Ebony, so I'm going to link that video below. There were a couple of occasions where I said I did not feel anything at all with Ebony, except for one time when I ate like potatoes and oranges. But I didn't experience morning sickness with Ebony. I was still able to function and really enjoy the pregnancy and also eat food without throwing up. So this experience is a totally new experience for me. When I went to a doctor, so it wasn't my doctor because my doctor was sick. My doctor was sick and she was out with the flu for a while. So I went to get checked out at another doctor, and you know, I explained what was going on. I was throwing up at the time about 10 to 15 times a day. And when I say throwing up, like I was going to the restroom 10 to 15 times a day, and that was very frightening for me. And so I was told that what I have is Hyperemisis Gravidarum, so HG for short. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, what is that? And so basically what I was told, it was the condition that Duchess Kate Middleton struggled with for all of her pregnancies. Even celebrities or celebrity like Amber Rose went through that as well. And there are several cases and situations like that where women who became pregnant came down with this really debilitating illness. HG, Hyperemisis Gravidarum. So hyper means you're like over, you know, overextended. So emesis is just is vomiting. Hyperemesis is an extreme form, a very, very extreme form pregnancy sickness. I can't even say morning sickness because it can last the day. It can pop up at any time, midday, at night, whatever. It is not just morning sickness. It is very, very extreme. It feels like you are, when you have that condition, it really feels like you have the flu plus motion sickness plus a lingering migraine all together. And at my worst, I vomited up probably about 20 times a day. And there are women, you know, because I joined a support group, a very strong, very good support group. And I learned there are women who actually struggle and vomit about 40 times a day or more. They really don't know what causes this. It's not necessarily, they're saying that there could be a genetic component, but there is no hard evidence to support that. There's also some data to show that it could be neurological, even hormonal, but there isn't a specific pinpoint. That's the reason why women come down with this debilitating condition. It gets to the point where you have to rely on medication to even function and to survive that phase. And without the medication, without medical intervention, it can be lethal for the unborn and even sometimes the mother. So I'm gonna pause the video here because Abney's about to get into the frame. Anyway, we'll probably have several interruptions in this video because I do have a toddler. Abney is now 3, so she wanted a snack. But anyway, so in my case, I was prescribed Bongesta, I was prescribed Zofran, Diclages, Phenagrin. None of those things worked. Zofran, I remembered when I went to pick up my prescription, the pharmacist looked at me and said, you know, there's some serious side effects to this. And when I finally got to see my actual OB, my OB-GYN, she said, yes. I took Zofran once because I was so desperate once, and I had such a massive headache after, and I decided no more. I just couldn't do that to myself, knowing that I still had to go to work and function and still take care of a toddler and all of that stuff. Anyway, some of these prescriptions are very expensive. Bongesta, I remembered, they quoted at first at the pharmacy, I went through the drive-thru and it said, oh, it's 6 something. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, the insurance covered this and that, and I just have to pay out of pocket $6, which is not far-fetched, right? It was $600 and something for one fill, you know. And then I did some research, and I was told to go online and get this coupon and all that stuff, and that brought it down to $90. I had a sample from my doctor's office. Honestly, Bongesta made me feel okay for one day, and then after that, the HG came back with full vengeance. So I decided, you know what, I'm just not gonna spend money on something. I wanted it to work. You know, guys, I teach, and having HG and having a full-time job, it doesn't matter what you do, it makes life truly, truly miserable. And let me tell you something, when someone tells you that they have HG, the last thing that they want to hear is to take ginger and eat crackers. Those things do not work. You know, with Abney, I remembered the craving that I had for ginger ale because it settled my stomach and it made me feel good. So I didn't have morning sickness with Abney, but it made me feel better, if that makes any kind of sense. There was some discomfort, but I cannot call it morning sickness because it wasn't that bad, right? But with hyperemesis, ginger for a lot of women with HG is actually you know, it's an how do you call it, an aversion. Okay, if I see ginger right now, I will literally just puke all over the place. It's an aversion. It's a serious aversion. And with HG, you cannot there are lots of things that you can't eat. So I have notes, okay, so I don't forget, because this is such a trying time for me for several reasons, and the world. We're going through a pandemic, and I'll address that in a little bit. My paper is not staying. Anyway, so some of the symptoms on top of the regular carrying a child symptom kind of thing, you know, like the regular nausea, the tiredness, the headaches and things like that. The nauseous all day. For me, the best time for me, when I say the best, it doesn't mean that I don't feel anything, but the time when I feel like I can just breathe and not feel like I'm going to die, it still is between 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. After that, it's just all downhill. The nausea peaks at around 7 p.m., which truly sucks because it interrupts my sleep. I cannot have dinner. I cannot do anything at night. It's just, you know, for different women, it peaks at a different time. And for me, that's when it peaks, when I need my sleep the most. The vomiting, so that's the second thing, it's excessive. Some people would say, oh, I vomited like twice in 1 week. That's not HG. Okay, HG is where, well, I take that back. I take that back because symptoms manifest in different ways. But if you're able to eat and keep your food down, and then maybe there's one or two things that make you a little bit nauseous, I wouldn't necessarily say that is hyperemesis. That is probably just regular aversion with food. For me, with Abney, it was chicken. If you guys remembered, I couldn't have any chicken, right? But with hyperemesis, it gets to a point where you cannot eat anything. I got really skinny really fast. I lost about 15 pounds in 6 weeks. And that was another reason I didn't go back on social media. I didn't want to have to explain to people the fact that I wasn't ready to share that this is what was going on with me. I lost a lot of weight. I think to make matters worse, I was constantly told that, oh my God, you lost so much weight. Yes, I know I lost a lot of weight. That is because I could not have eaten anything. There is something called safe foods for women with HG, and for me, my safe foods changed every 2 weeks, and it got to a point where the only thing I could have kept down temporarily, momentarily, were things that I bought on the outside. Okay, I couldn't prepare my own food because the smells and everything would just throw me off. So cooking, yeah, I was not cooking the tastiest things. I couldn't taste anything to begin with. There was a horrible metallic taste in my mouth. So, you know, food started off with plain white bread, morning, noon, and night. Then I, you know, after 2 weeks, that changed to plain baked potatoes, specifically from Jason's Deli, like a plain Jane with just unsweetened tea. That would be my lunch, and then that would change again in 2 weeks. There was a while there I was on a Chipotle roll, so I would have rice and chicken and the avocado, the guacamole. And I remember one day I ate it thinking, okay, I can do this, and everything came right back up. And so that changed again. What else? Food was so limited. My dinner used to be a handful of popcorn. And then breakfast, I could have kept down bacon for a while, but that has changed. Now, like for the last 2 weeks, watermelon, that's one thing I can keep down very well. Grapes, specifically the green ones. Taco Bell, just regular crunchy tacos without the lettuce. That worked for a while. And sweet tea. And when I tell you my diet was shit for a while, it was just really, really bad. You guys know me, how I push on this channel the importance of eating well and health and all that. HD pushes that out the door because all you want is to survive. You feel like you're in survival mode, and what you want is what you want, and that is what your body wants until that changes again in 2 weeks. And people don't get it. People don't understand. And so, you know, I live with a man who can be very judgmental at times. I mean, I know there are times when he would say, you know, you're not eating, you know this, you know that. But what's the point? You know, my thing is, what's the point of trying to explain something to someone who would never understand your struggle, who would never understand what you're going through? And so that is kind of like the approach that I took. I did a lot of experimental eating. It's just, you know, the smell, sight, everything just turned me off. Things you know, and people would say to you, take ginger, take crackers, this and that would help. Anyway, some other things that I had to deal with or still have to deal with, the usual constipation and spitting is non-stop. It's just relentless. So I walk around with a spit cup. I'm not very proud of showing you guys this right now. It's not a fancy cup. Sometimes it's the Starbucks cup. Well, with all that's going on, it's just going to be a regular cup. I have these by my bedside in my car, by my vehicle, my classroom, you know, walking around my classroom. I was just like, if I have a Starbucks cup, the kids would ask me, "There's Misty, should you be drinking all this coffee?" You know, people assume that when you go to Starbucks, the only thing you can get is coffee, but sometimes it was just an empty cup. My blood pressure became an issue because I quickly developed anxiety. Well, not developed. You guys know, if you look back at my videos, you know anxiety has been an issue for me. So my anxiety escalated. It came back. It is still here. Talking to you right now, I feel a little bit flustered. I'm really mixing up my words today. I'm flustered. And I can hear my, you know, in my ears, this little tinnitus that I was so proud of when I got rid of it, and it's just back. My oral hygiene deteriorated very quickly, and that is because I couldn't brush my teeth. I know that sounds really weird, but it is a common thing that women with HG struggle with. You cannot stand the taste of toothpaste, so you go through a period of salt and water, you try every toothpaste, and then one day you figure out maybe kids' bubblegum toothpaste would be the thing, and that is what I've been using. So I have this routine where I have to scrub or brush, put water, spit out, goggle with salt water, spit out, brush again, clean my tongue, and it's just, it was really, it got really bad, and it was because of all the chemistry that was going on in my stomach. And the throwing up really did, it took a toll on my oral hygiene. My breath was bad. I mean, you know, when your husband is looking at you and they're like, okay, babe, you need to address your oral hygiene. You're grateful that they're telling you, but it's so embarrassing because it's something that you never had to hear before, but at the same time, you're grateful and you're like, okay, how long has this been going on? So I went in, got my teeth checked, did my, you know, dental routine and all that, and I think I'm okay now. But that is the reality of HG. When I look through the group, there are many women who just, they lost teeth. Like, they showed pictures of their teeth because all of the vomiting, the acid and everything did a number on their oral hygiene. My fitness was put on hold for a while because what's the point of working out the way I do if I was losing weight anyway? I was struggling with pregnancy headaches. I don't really get those often now, maybe because I'm, you know, halfway through, but there are lots of things that I struggle with at this point that I wish I don't have to struggle with at this point. You know, HG is very new to me. Having my daughter really strengthens me to get through the process because I felt so guilty for, the first few months. I just felt like a shit mom. I felt like I'm not even feeding Anthony properly. There are times that I struggled to bathe her. There are times that I didn't do anything but let her just play. And, this is coming from a teacher. I teach. And, you want your kids to be successful. And all I was doing was pushing her aside to just go watch TV and read whatever because I couldn't keep up with her. There was a time I remembered for a couple of weeks where it felt like I could have smelled inside Ebony's stomach. And so I had this aversion to her for a little bit. Oh, I feel like I would not get through this video, but I'm just gonna looking over at my notes as well. But so now that I'm feeling like I can manage certain things, I'm really trying to be a better mother. Ebony really does. She's like my light going through this very dark period. I feel like 2020 just, I don't know, we know what's going on with the pandemic. On top of the HG, on top of my blood pressure issues, my blood pressure is bad. Like, I'm on medication now. The thing that I was trying to shun and avoid, I'm on medication now because I have this fear of developing preeclampsia. And the thing is, it's the reason why my BP is elevated is not anything physiological. It's just my stress level is really high. It's been a really freaking crazy year so far. I mean, COVID-19 and then this surprise. It was literally a surprise pregnancy. I'm not even going to get into the details of that. And then just other things that I have been dealing with that I don't care to talk about. I literally felt like everything was just kind of dumped on me all at once. And I know we're all going through some nonsense right now. Even people looking at this video, I know you're probably on shelter in place and things like that. And I'm in Dallas, and we do have cases in the North Texas area, and that has been creating some anxiety for me as well. I don't know when I'm going to go back to work because having kids in a classroom in the middle of a pandemic is not the wisest thing to do. So I found a support group on Facebook. These women, it's funny how you find things in common. You find comfort when you find people who know exactly what you're going through. You don't feel like you're crazy because this has been the most isolating time of my life. Literally the whole quarantine thing. When I say quarantine, like, they're advising, social distancing and all that. So I don't get to see my friends. I don't go out. I don't do this. I don't do that. I miss my students and all that stuff. But just having HG, which affects less than 200,000 women, that's the last set of statistics I checked. It's very, very isolating. It's a very isolating experience. And this by far has been the hardest journey I've ever been on. Things may get worse before they get better, but when I reflect, I have been to the hospital for IVs, and I've gotten like fluids because I was so dehydrated, because I couldn't drink anything, not even plain water, not lemon water. Lemon was an aversion for me. No coconut water. All the things that people would suggest to you that work for them, if they never had HG, they would never understand why those things just didn't work for you. But as I said, things may get worse before they get better. I don't know what 2-3 months would look like. I don't know what it's going to look like for me, because at one time, not one time, no, I'm lying, several times I was told if I don't get myself under control, and so I can literally have a miscarriage, and if I don't go for the treatments and things like that, I'm also putting myself in danger. So I'm kind of force feeding. I eat even though I throw up anyway, and I'm just trying to keep positive. I still have a business to tend to. I still have kids to teach online. I still have a daughter to take care of, and I still have family members who would like to see me around for a while. It is not easy. Hyperemisis Gravidarum, it's a survival story for women when they pull through it. I don't know how things will turn out for me. I know women, they go through the entire pregnancy and still end up with issues at the end. and all of that is just creating some anxieties for me. And then I have some personal things going on, and I know some big changes, changes are going to happen for me as well. And I'm not going to get into that right now or ever probably on YouTube, but there are a lot of things that's weighing on my mind right now. And guys, it's hard. Anyway, so I wanted to record this video and just kind of tell you what has been going on with me. It's not easy it's a trying time right now for the world. And I think it's even worse for mothers to be. And then on top of that, if you're gonna have a baby and then you have HG to survive on top of that, it's a recipe for madness. So the anxiety is back. I'm gonna talk about that as well. I'm just managing and trying to deal with that because I have to deal with it. I hope things get better really soon, but I put on the smiley face, you fake it till you make it kind of thing. But there are some days it's really, really hard, and I hope you guys appreciate the video. It wasn't, I know I keep spitting in this cup, whatever you want me to show you. Just kidding. But it is what it is. I already feel like I lost my dignity. I've thrown up in front of my kids, teaching, just things like that happen randomly. But I do have support, and I'm very grateful for that. So keep safe, guys. Until next time, peace, and I wish you guys the best. I know this was a lengthy video, but leave me a comment below and I'll be back. As things progress, I will try to be back and try to be a little bit more present on my channel.